All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started now. So, my name is Kyle. I'm the communications coordinator, and today I will be giving HTML and CSS kind of like brief introduction to those who aren't too familiar with HTML and CSS. Um, yeah, so personally, this is how I got started with web development. So hopefully it is to you guys as well. Um, so I guess to like follow along with what I'm saying, it's good to create a GitHub account. And also, if you want to follow along the live demo that I'll be giving, you could pull up like a text editor of your choice. I use VS Code personally, but yeah, it can be anything. So, so on today's agenda, I'm going to be talking about what HTML is, the different HTML tags, the CSS styling that goes with it, and also I'm going to try to post a simple HTML page on using GitHub pages. And then I'll also be pointing you guys to some additional resources that I highly recommend if you want to get more into this kind of stuff. Okay, so what exactly is HTML? So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So this is people like to think of this as like the bare bones of a website, like the skeleton of a website. So this is what like provides a website structure and it organizes and is able to display like the content you want to put on a website. Yeah, and it's also like very hierarchical in like terms of like the tags and stuff. So there are a lot of HTML tags, but I'm going to go over some of the most basic ones, which includes the head. The head tag is an element that contains like metadata about the website. And what metadata is like, it's like things like the title is something you can put within the head. Um, Next up is like the body tag. So the body tag like defines a document's body and contains all the contents of an HTML document, like the headings, paragraph, image, table, etc. And so every HTML document will only have one body tag. Just just a quick note. Um, the header tags, there are a lot of different headers. It's basically like bigger font text. There's going to be H1, H2. They're going to decrease in size. But if you ever use like Google Docs, you can see like you can change like header sizes. It kind of works the same way in HTML. And paragraph is pretty self-explanatory. Just, you know, when you're writing a paragraph in your website, you can put it between the P tags. And the image tag is to specify the source of an image so that it can display on your website. You can also create tables on your website if you want. And the div, I'll be going into further details soon. So I'm gonna be doing a live code demo. So I'm gonna switch over to the website I'll be using. Right. You guys see the JS Fiddle website I'm on right
Yep,
now?
looks great, Kyle.
Okay, good. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna show a little bit of what these tags actually look like on a real HTML document. So first off, I'm gonna start with an HTML tag. Or if you want, you can start with doc type. Every HTML file you want to include this doc type HTML at the at the top, and then the HTML tag. So first, we're gonna go on to like a head. So a head, like I said, contains like metadata. Um, and this includes like things like the title. We can make this my first HTML site. This title is gonna appear like when you actually host this site. It's gonna appear like in at the tab right here. So, okay, what else? Okay, so now I can move on to showing you guys what the body looks like. So body will contain everything that I want to put into this website. So this includes like a header, for example. So you said header could start with H1 as the biggest size header. This is a H1 heading. So if I start running this, you can see right here on the right, this is an H1 heading. And you can do the same thing for like H2s, H3s, so on. This H2 heading, even H3s. Yeah, so as you can see, it just decreases in size as you go along. But yeah, those are the headings basically. And next, I can show you guys what the paragraph does. So if you wanted to include like paragraph in your website, you put it in between the p tags and say this is a paragraph that you can write. Right. You see, it shows up as just normal sized font for the paragraph tag. So yeah, and then yeah, image. I can show you guys how to insert an image into your sites. So what you can do is like, well, first we need to find the image. So actually, instead of an image, we could also put in a GIF as well. Switch it up a bit. Programming GIF. Let's see here. Oh, this one's pretty funny. Okay. Find an image here. Okay. So within this image tag, you're going to specify the source, which is src. Copy. Oops. It doesn't look like the right. Yeah, copy image address. There you go. You want to put this between quotes so that it works properly. Okay. Oh, there you go. So you can put an image or a GIF into your website using the image tag, and make sure you specify the source with src. And I can also show you guys how to add links into your website. So a link can be done with the a tag. Href is similar to like source, where it's going to be taking you to whatever website you want the link to take you to. So for this example, we could do like the web dev club, copy that address, put it into the href, and we can say this is a link to the web dev UW club. What it should do, yep. And here's the link right here. You click on it, It actually takes you to the website. Yep. Okay. And lastly, I'm going to show you guys a table, how to make a table. So for example, it's going to be within table tag, and then every row starts with a TR tag. So I'll show you here. TR. Every row starts with a TR, and then the columns or the data will be TD. So if I want to make a 3x3 table, I'm going to have 3 TDs within 3 TR tags. So like 100, 200, 300. Okay. So there you go. There is the table. And yep, the 3x3 table. So just remember that the TR is going to represent each row in your table, and then you can fill your data with the TD tags within the TRs. Right. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to we covered like the basic HTML bare bones kind of structure of a website. So I'm gonna be moving on to the CSS, or the styling of HTML. So this is like the frosting of our HTML cake, per se. And this is how you make things, stand out. Change color, change, the font. You can do a lot of things with CSS. So yeah, spacing, organization, and then making things more dynamic. Like to make your website work on any device, you need CSS. And this is done through a separate CSS file that is linked with your HTML file. So in order to link your CSS with the HTML file, you want to go back to the head where the metadata is stored, and you want to specify your CSS file as a style sheet to this. So link type. You can call it style.css. And so that will tell the computer that this CSS file right here is going to be changing the contents of this HTML file. Okay. So for example, if I wanted to change the color of our H1 heading, I could go type in H1. And within these brackets, I can specify the color. So color could be red. And we'll see this H1 heading turns red. We can turn it blue if we wanted to. Yep, works the same way. And we can even do like cool, it's like animation, I guess. You could do animations through CSS. So if you just say like transition to half a second, so that's going to be the duration of the animation. And we can specify in CSS the H1 hover, which basically is saying like if the user hovers over this H1 tag, we can tell it to do certain things, like changing the color to red, from blue to red, and then we can increase It's the font size, like 250%. There you go. When we hover over this H1 tag, the color turns red, the font size increases in half a second. We can make this transition like 1 second, like a little bit longer, so maybe 5 seconds. Yeah, then it's just slowly changing to red. Let's leave it at 1. All right, cool. And then I'm gonna go over. Yeah, I talked about the div. This is basically like this tag defines like a division or like a section in your HTML document, and it's used as like a container for HTML elements, which can then be like styled with CSS. So the class and ID, it's like basically 2 ways of specifying the name of the div. Like they do the same thing, but are referenced differently in CSS. So I can show you that right now here. Okay, so I'm gonna make a div thing, and then I'm gonna use the class specifier. Class equals, just say inverted, because in this div I'm going to invert colors of black text and white background to black or white text and black background. This is text that has inverted colors. Okay, we can see that right here. Now I'm going to change it through CSS using the class specifier I put in the div tag right here. And we can say, so when you're specifying a class, make sure you put a dot. Starts with the dot, and then you can type in inverted, since I named it inverted. So we can make the background color to black, and then we said the text will be white. And if we run that, oops, semicolon. There you go. Yep. And then, so now you can see the background is black and the text is white when we specified the class inverted with the dot inverted in the CSS file. So like you can use divs to basically like change a specific part of your website. You know, if you don't want to change all H1s to blue, you can put it under a div and name it a class, and it will only change that specific H1 instead of every H1 throughout your entire HTML document. So it's pretty useful. Yeah, so you could also specify this with ID, but it does basically the same thing. So I can make a circle through a CSS. So I'm not gonna put anything in this tag. I'm just gonna use purely the background of this HTML file. So when you're referring to an ID, you want to start with a hashtag, right? And then you can put in circle. Now we're gonna try to make a circle with this with just pure CSS. So we can make a blue circle, blue background, and then specify the width and the height. So like 100 pixels. 100 pixels for the height. And then we can also specify something called the border radius. And that just basically is going to add a curve around this box that I made. That's 100 pixels wide, 100 pixels tall. So we run this. Yep. Now we can see this circle that I made with the div ID circle here. Change the border radius. No, that didn't really do anything. But yeah. And let's see. Yeah, so that's basically CSS, changing up your HTML, You can do cool effects on it, just make it more interesting than just bare bones HTML because it's just going to look black and white. And nobody wants that. So CSS is a great tool for that. And yeah, so we're going to try to put this on the internet. So if you guys don't have a GitHub account already, you can sign up for one, and then you can actually have access to like one free domain that you could use through GitHub. So I'm going to make advantage of that right now. So we go into GitHub pages. It's going to be a free source where you can host your website. Yeah. So you got to create a public repository under your username.github.io. That will be your website that you get for free when creating a GitHub account. So if you're using Terminal, you want to clone that repository. So I'm going to use Terminal today. Okay. And make an example folder.
Kyle, just so you know, we can only see your browser at the moment.
Oh shoot, my bad. I have my terminal open. All right, I'll share that right now. Okay, can you see my terminal?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yep, so I just basically made an example folder so I can clone my repository to host my website. So yep, I'm gonna git clone my repository. All right, I'm gonna get the link to my repository right now. All right. Okay. Now we got it cloned. Now we can go into my website and create the index.html so that it can show up on the URL. So we're gonna just gonna copy and paste my HTML into this index.html file. Okay. Okay. And so now, since I made a change, I'm going to edit. I'm gonna try to commit this change. So And then we're trying to push this change. All right, cool. So now we pushed it into the repository, and now this site should show what I just made 5 minutes ago in JS Fiddle site. So switch over to my browser again so I can show you the changes. Okay. So hypothetically, if I go here, oh, yeah, sometimes it takes some time to actually see the changes. Yeah, but as you can see in my repository, you can see the index.html that I added. So this should be displaying under my URL momentarily. Yep, there you go. So under my username.github.io, I was able to, put in my own HTML code and display it on this site. And everyone can basically do this if you create a GitHub account, because everyone gets a free website to code under when you make an account. So, but this is without the CSS, so we can actually add the CSS to see it on our site. Let's switch back to terminal. Okay, so now we're gonna add the CSS. I said the CSS would be called style.css, so we're gonna do that. And copy and paste my CSS into this file. So, yep, that should be good. Okay, now we're gonna push these changes again. Say added CSS. And now we can git push to the master branch again. Okay, so now I pushed it into my repository and we should be seeing the changes soon. So switch over to my browser. Yep, now we can see a style.css in my repository. The changes are still not there yet. Okay, there you go. Now I can see the CSS perfectly linked with our HTML file. So, yep, the animation that I added through CSS is there. This link works. Yep. Yeah. Very cool stuff. So now, so that's basically GitHub pages, It's very useful because you don't have to actually pay money to host your own site like you usually have to, but yeah, you get a free one with GitHub. Some extra resources that you guys should get into if you guys are interested in this kind of stuff would be W3. I think they have a great set of tutorials about basically like everything about HTML. So they have like a lot of example code you can follow along, and if you get through all of this, like you'd probably be a pro with HTML. Yeah, that's basically W3. And then for me personally, when I was starting up with web development, I started off with a book on Amazon called HTML and CSS Design and Build Websites. This is by John Duckett, but I highly recommend this book because it has all the things that you need to get started off with web development, and it's a really well designed book with lots of helpful pictures and examples. Look inside it. Yeah, it's a well like designed book, I'll say. So I think that's another great resource to get started off with. Um, so when you go deeper into web development, there's going to be things called like frameworks and libraries that you can use to help simplify things or give you more abilities to to add to your website, such as things like Bootstrap, which is basically I believe it's a CSS library. Yeah, basically these libraries just they give you a bunch of functionality that usually isn't there with vanilla HTML and CSS. And this is another library, I guess, Flexbox. I think this is very important when you start building like real websites. You need to consider like the dimensions of some of these text boxes or images that you're going to be putting in, so that it can fit all like mobile friendly, desktop friendly. Making it all dynamic. I think this is really important to get into later on. Um, this is an example site, I guess, from last year by our former president Bailey. Basically did the similar thing to what I did today. Um, I would highly recommend checking out this site called Awards. I think it's really good to like get inspiration when you guys are developing your own websites, because these are basically all the best websites that are out there on the internet today that get rewards and all that. And you can also like visit their sites here. The visit site button. A lot of these sites are like really cool. Um, yeah. So like when I'm scrolling down, like these letters are moving. Yeah, I think it's a great source of inspiration, I guess. Then lastly, oh yeah, this page that I used, it was basically it'll run you through how to set up your GitHub.io website. So you can go to pages.github.com and it has all these tutorial commands that you can follow along. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you for listening to this intro HTML talk, HTML and CSS talk.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyle. That was great, and really looking forward to seeing what all our members are able to make with all this knowledge in their pocket. So thank you.
Yep, for sure.
All right.
I believe you had an announcement.
Yeah, so on that note, for all of our members who are new to HTML and CSS and just want to start using those skills, we've created a project for those members to work on. We're calling it the Personal Projects Project, a very creative name. But what the goal is all of our members will be able to create a folder in the repository and include their own files in here, your HTML files like we saw, CSS, JavaScript, basically anything that can be used to make the websites that you saw Kyle working with earlier today. And then when we push those, then they'll end up on GitHub pages, just like Kyle demonstrated. And it'll be a collaborative effort showing off all of the different projects from our members. So you can see here, if we go to Owen Hunt, we'll see the Hello World page that I've got here. And then by just updating this file, we're able to get some changes to appear there and show up on the personal projects page. So the goal here is to allow our members to easily get the code that they write up online and running. You are also, of course, free to use the sample or the example that Kyle showed with GitHub pages and get your website hosted on your own. But we wanted to give a place for our members to work on a repository that they can then point us to, ask questions about, and we're able to help and guide people working on their own personal websites. So anybody interested in contributing to this in the form of their own site, you should be able to take the code and you'll want to make a new branch, which you can do by typing a name here. I would recommend just typing in your name. So we can do Owen Hunt, and we'll create that branch. And then when you clone the code, you'll be able to check out a branch for that, create all of your changes, and then submit a pull request to have those merged in, which is something that we can help you with, show you how to do. We also have videos on our YouTube channel showing more information about GitHub and pull requests and the whole Git workflow if you are unfamiliar with that. So that is how you'll be able to contribute to that site. And then, of course, we have the projects channel in the Discord for anybody to ask any questions they might have, ask for advice, suggestions, anything like that. So we really encourage all of our members to, who are new to HTML and CSS, to get your hands dirty and apply some of these techniques and see the fruits of your labor on our GitHub pages personal project website here.
Oh, did you want to share your screen?
I definitely did want to share my screen. That is unfortunate that I
Yeah,
was showing that whole time without it shared. Let's do that now, and I'll
let's
quickly
start
recap
over.
that. That's my fault. Yeah, so like I said, we've got this repository here, www.personal projects, and I'm going to link that in our Discord after we're done here. Um, but the goal here is that everybody is able to create a folder with their name and then put their HTML, CSS, JavaScript files in there, and you'll be able to have your page show up on the personal projects page here under your name, and it'll be a project for everybody to collaborate on. So you can go ahead and make your pull requests and things like that and get it on the website. All right, awesome. Well, thank you everybody, and especially you, Kyle, for this great presentation tonight. And we look forward to seeing what all of our members are able to create in the future.
Yep, no problem. Thank you everyone for listening, and hope you guys have a good rest of your evening.